there are two things that I think are unfortunate about Jefferson. One is that he continued to hold slaves, which is very unfortunate. And the second is his early support for the French Revolution, which I think is a massive mistake. And I wouldn't be surprised if he regretted it later in life, given the consequences. But, they were trying to derive principles by which they could establish a new state. And yes, there was pushback by some, and there was disagreements, and the Constitution in the end is to some extent a form of compromise. It's still one of the great documents of all of human history, political documents, the Constitution. Although I think it's inferior to the Declaration. I'm a huge fan of the Declaration, and I think one of the mistakes the conservatives makes, one of the mistakes the Supreme Court makes and American judiciary makes is assuming the two documents are separate. I think Lincoln is absolutely right. You can't understand the Constitution without understanding the Declaration. The Declaration, what set the context and what sets everything up for the Constitution. Individual rights are the key concept there. And one of the challenges was that some of the compromises, and compromises not necessarily between groups, but compromises that even Jefferson made and others made regarding individual rights, set America on a path that we're suffering from today. And I mentioned three last night. One was slavery. Obviously, that was a horrific compromise, one that America not just paid for with the Civil War. 600,000 young men died because of it, but the suffering of black slaves for all those years. But then the whole issue of racial tensions in this country for a century and to this day, really, is a consequence of that initial compromise. Who knows what the counterfactual is in America if there's a civil war right at the founding, right? Because there would have been a war no matter what. But if it had happened in the late 18th century, early 19th century, rather than waiting till 1860s. But then second was Jefferson's embrace of public education, his founding of the University of Virginia, which I think is a great tragedy, and which nobody agrees with me on. So that's one of the areas where I'm pretty radical. And then the embrace, both by Jefferson and by Hamilton, for different reasons, but an embrace by both of them of government role in the economy. And, I do finance, so I know a little bit about finance, and the debate between Jefferson and Hamilton about banking is fascinating. But at the end of the day, both wanted a role for government in banking. They both didn't trust. Jefferson didn't trust big financial interests. Hamilton wanted to capture some of those financial interests for the state. And as a consequence, we set America on a path where, in my view, regulation always leads to more regulation. There's never a case where regulation decreases. And we started out with a certain regulatory body around banks and a recognition that it was okay to regulate the economy. So once we get into the late 19th century, it's fine to regulate the railroads. It's fine to pass antitrust laws. It's fine to then continue on the path of where we are today, which is heavy, massive involvement of government in every aspect of our economy and really in every aspect of our life because of education. So I think the country was founded on certain mistakes, and we haven't been willing to question those mistakes. And in a sense that we've only moved in the opposite direction. And now America has become, whereas I think it was founded on the idea of the primacy of the individual, the sanctity of the individual, at least as an idea, even if not fully implemented, I think now that's completely lost. I don't think anybody it really is an advocate out there for individualism in politics or for true freedom in politics.